It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in the wonderful world of Sorare. What a wonderful world it is. We love Sorare, we take our time, we spend ages scouting cards, thinking about players, playing them in lineups. It's a beautiful game. I love Sorare. If you're new around here, make a cup of tea, get comfortable, enjoy the video, pause the video if you've not got your cup of tea yet. You know how we do on the channel, people. While the video is paused, give it a like and a subscribe. It'd help me out massively. Unpause that video and let's enjoy some Sorare chat. Now, Mexican season's been back for about 3 weeks now, so I've been enjoying the return of Liga MX. We've got this weekend, I think a few European leagues are slowly starting to come back. I think the Danish league might be back this weekend and the Austrian league is coming back this weekend. So, you know, we're starting to slowly get the return of European football. We also had some exciting news today as I'm recording this. On the Thursday, Sorare announced that Liga MX, the 4 Mexican teams that they had previously and have always had, have been renewed. So we will be getting new Mexican cards this coming season. This season, it's already started, but the cards are now on the auction market for the 4 Mexican clubs that they covered last season: Santos, Necaxa, Atlas, and Tigres, which is really exciting for me. I was worried that the Liga MX cards weren't going to be renewed because, you know, the season started and we still didn't have any cards. And there was a post that Sorare did maybe a week or 2 ago where they said these teams are going to be renewing their licenses, and then there was no mention of some teams. There was no mention of any Liga MX teams coming back. They did mention other contender teams in other countries, but they didn't mention any Mexican teams. So maybe they've just renegotiated that, confirmed it now. So today, for the first time, we have the new Mexican cards on the auction. I've already been having a look. Now, the problem for me is I kind of already have a Santos stack, a Necaxa stack. They're the 2 teams I'm playing with in Liga MX. I don't really want a third team because I kind of want my third classic contender team to be like a mix of all different teams from the regions. So I'm not going to be going crazy in these auctions like I have last season. So I kind of have a good collection now. I don't need the same cards again. I'm not really going to be playing in season. So I'm only going to be going for cards that are like missing from my gallery. So there might be a few Santos players. There might be a few Necaxa players who play for the team but weren't in last season's cards. So I might need 1 or 2 cards just to kind of complete my lineups. Like there's a Necaxa striker that I'd like. There's a Santos midfielder and a defender that I'd like that weren't in last season's cards. So, you know, I'll be keeping my eye out for those type of cards, but I think they might be a bit expensive at first because they're the first cards being minted. They're the first, you know, versions, but give it a bit of time. I might keep my eye and look out for any bargains there where I can see them. So it's exciting. Liga MX has had its contract renewed. It's exciting. Football's coming back. We are having pre-season friendlies as well. A lot of the European clubs like my boys Chelsea, they've started their pre-season. They played their first pre-season game yesterday, so already it's a time to start looking for if there's any surprise players, if there's any sort of players that like might get first team football next season. Are their cards cheap at the moment? That's kind of what I'm looking for. But let's start off this video, as we always do, by looking at how I did last weekend in what was July the 16th to the 19th. So this is how I did in July 19th to 23rd. There is a midweek set of games currently going on, but it was really quiet for me midweek. It seems that it's only like Olympics football going on and a few other leagues that I don't really have players from. There wasn't any Mexican football this midweek, so I had nothing to play midweek. The weekend before, as I did preview in last week's video, that's how my lineups did. Nothing really great to report. No real exciting. Not as good as the week before where I won 2 cards. This week with no rewards won. The best league was the Contender League where my Necaxa boys did okay. I was planning on playing an extra Necaxa midfielder, but he got sent off in the midweek game just before this here, July the 16th. So I couldn't play him. So Nathan Silva came in from Pumas. He did okay, 65. Monreal isn't the best scorer at Necaxa. He's the guy who plays on the left. The guys that score better than him are the striker who hasn't previously been on Sorare. He is now for the first time, has a Sorare card. So he's one of the cards I'm looking out for. And then there's 2 midfielders, Paradella and Brian, who got sent off. So Paradel and Brian are the two good ones. Monreal's not the best one. He's the one I want to replace, but I played him because I thought it was a game they could win. They didn't actually do that well. 1-1 draw, so the great start Necaxa made to the season has kind of taken a little bit of a hiccup. I'm hoping that they can get back to winning ways, obviously, with them being a key part of my kind of gallery. So let's see what they do. My best defender, POV, he did okay, 73, and my goalkeeper from Necaxa didn't keep a clean sheet. So it wasn't the best result. I didn't get relegated. I'm staying in this Division 2 in Classic for my contender team. So nothing won, but nothing lost. So that was the contender team. The cap teams didn't really do well. I had one goalkeeper playing, and the other two goalkeepers were DMP goalkeepers. So this was the kind of only serious lineup that I put out, and this was kind of my Atlas, like my mini Atlas stack that I have of Marquez, Fulgencio, and Aguirre. Fulgencio I don't really like. I could sell him. I'm trying to just trade him for a similar value card that helps with my collections. He's not the best player, but Atlas had an easy fixture, which they did win 2-1. So I did expect Atlas to win. They've made a good start to the season. I'm kind of hoping Fulgencio picks up his form. He's still young and he's playing in a good team. So I'm hoping he kind of accidentally picks up assists here and there, but I don't think I'm that encouraged about him now. These two boys I'm much more encouraged about. Aguirre is a great striker. A great Atlas striker, great score. I captained him. And Marquez is a young midfielder for Atlas, plays in the middle alongside the captain Roca. And he's really good, really creative, box to box, gets forward a lot, chips in with goals. A lot of key passes, forward passes. So I like Marquez and I like Aguirre from Atlas. Fulgencio I'm not so keen about from Atlas, but when they've got a good fixture, I'll throw him in like I did this week. Then I put a Necaxa defender that I just signed. I'll show you him later when I show you the new cards that I bought since last week. I bought him just after last week's video because I've got one Necaxa defender, Alan Montes, and he's not been getting played lately. There's lots of rumors he might leave, so I'm kind of thinking maybe that's why he's not getting played. He did play one game like 2 games ago, so I thought maybe he's going to get played. So I signed another card from Necaxa, young defender who is getting played every game, just so that I've got a Necaxa defender I know can play every game, and I got him for very cheap. So he fits in nicely with my gallery. And then Santos goalkeeper, they lost 3-0 to Tigres. I didn't expect anything different. So not a great score all around for that. 240, I put out a Santos stack, knowing they were playing Tigres, knowing they weren't going to score well, and they didn't let me down in that regard. None of them really scored well. And then my 220, once again, it's another good week for Cade Cowell, the young forward at Chivas, playing on the wing, because Chicharito is still taking that striking spot. Until he goes, Cowell has to play on the wing. And maybe Cowell just becomes one of those players that becomes a winger now, and that becomes his position. And even when Chicharito retires, they just sign another player to play up front, and Cowell stays on the left wing, because he's kind of making it his own now. I did say last week he had a good score the previous week. He's been on a good run. I wanted him to keep it up, and once again, he's put a good score. Chivas look like they're better this season. They had a bit of an iffy season last season. They look like they're better, and Cade Cowell's scores this season are better. 78, 70, 68. Much better than how he was doing last season. So I'm hoping he continues. Under 23 striker. Really looking forward to seeing if he can continue this form. I put him with a few other cards that I kind of all needed to do really well. These guys didn't do really well. Alan Montes, the Necaxa defender, did play, but didn't do that well. Villapando, 51, not bad. Atuesta, the more positive score. LAFC look like they had one bad result a few weeks ago and they lost, I think, 5-1. But before that and after that, they've been doing well. So they won 3-0. He did well. He seems to be playing every game. This is a special card for me because it's the first ever card I won on Sorare. So I've kind of been holding onto the card since he was at Palmeiras. Now he's at LAFC and doing well for them. So I'm hoping LAFC do well. I'll show you my LAFC thoughts when I show you my lineups for the coming weekend, because there's now the Liga MX is having a break this weekend, which isn't good for me, but there's the Nations Cup where basically Liga MX and MLS teams, the best teams from those two divisions, play each other in a little tournament, the Leagues Cup. So that's happening. LAFC are one of the favorites for that cup, so I do have him and a defender. So I'm hoping he can do well in that cup and in the MLS. Hoping he has a good season. It's his first year at LAFC, and they're making a few good signings around him. So yeah, I'm quite excited about him as well as Cowell. And then these two, on their day, they're good cards. So I'm encouraged about these cards, even though they didn't all do that well. And yeah, not much to report from last weekend apart from that. Let's take a quick look at the new cards that I brought in. I'm almost done with my spending, I think, before the season starts. The new cards that I bought since last week. So I think the last card that I showed you was Kim Min-duk, who I won from my contender last week, the weekend before. I won him as a reward. I'm trying to sell him. Nobody wants to buy him, so he's still on the market. Since then, I bought Lucas Fabianski to help with my West Ham collection bonus. And also, because I've got Areola, the goalkeeper at West Ham, so I just think it's good sense for 53p to help with my West Ham collection bonus, get another card for the West Ham collection, and also have the backup goalkeeper to Areola so that if Areola ever gets injured or for whatever reason doesn't play, Fabianski should come in for him. So I've got the two West Ham goalkeepers now, so that should cover me for my West Ham stack. So he came in. This is the defender that I told you about, Emilio Martinez, that I brought in for Necaxa, also to help with my Necaxa collection, also to cover me while Alan Montez is kind of a will he play, won't he play. And I bought him for... I traded a card that I didn't want, Sebastian Klaas, and like 5p. So a cheap card for me to bring in. I thought it was a no-brainer. Swap a card. Like him, I'm also going to swap Kim Min-duk probably for someone in Necaxa or West Ham. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing with this card. Then I brought Wesley Fofana from Chelsea. Helps with my Chelsea collection. I basically got Santos collection, Chelsea collection, West Ham collection, and Necaxa collection. They're my 4 collections. So the cards I'm buying are kind of to help with those collections, and also one-off cards like Chura Sanchez, Fructal, POV. You know, these cards are like one-offs that are just good cards that I think score well to go alongside my collection cards. So I brought in Wesley Fofana because I got him for a good price at like £3, which I think is a good price for him. I think he's going to have a big season for Chelsea. He was injured last season, so he didn't play most of the season. I think he started a few games at the beginning, then got injured, didn't play all of last season, which is why I think his price is quite low now. I think people have kind of forgotten about how good he was before he signed for Chelsea. He's a really good, promising defender. I think with Chelsea, kind of, he played yesterday in the preseason friendly, the first preseason friendly for Chelsea. It looks like they don't want Chalobah. It looks like they're trying to sell Chalobah. They've signed a few other defenders, but I think if they're sensible, they've got to kind of Wesley Fofana, you build your defense with him in. Him and Colwill should be the two defenders that always play if they stay fit. So I brought him in to help with my Chelsea collection, which is coming along really nicely. And also it's a good card, I think, for next season. I bought Emerson from the auction, not from the auction, I traded him for 40p, very cheap. It seems he could be West Ham's left back for next season, but also I think, you know, he's a fairly high profile defender, played for the Italy national team. I think if he's not going to be first team defender next season, I think he leaves. And if he leaves, I think he could go to Serie A, go to somewhere like that and become a first team defender somewhere. I think he's a good player. I saw him play when he was at Chelsea. He's not quite Chelsea level. He's not probably Champions League level, but I think he's like Europa League level. He's that kind of level. So I think West Ham could play him. If he plays, he's one from my West Ham collection, West Ham stack. Could be an attacking left back. We don't know how the new manager's going to play, but if he plays Emerson and if he plays with attacking wing backs, that could be a good card for me to pick up for 40p. If he moves, could also be a good card because he'll get first team football, I can imagine. And then the last card that I bought 11 hours ago is one of my favorite players in Mexico. I've been scouting him for ages since I started playing Sorare last year. I always wanted Brunetta. When he was at Santos, I loved him. He moved to Tigres, scores really well for Tigres. And when I came on the market, when I started playing Sorare for the first time, he was like £40. And I was always watching him, waiting to see if his price ever went down. But he was always scoring so well. Like, when he first came on the market, oh, we've lost him. So, I mean, look, my Santos collection, I only have 4 more cards that I need to complete my Santos collection now. But, where's he gone? Mr. Brunetta. Yeah, look at these scores from last season. He was scoring so well. I could never afford him because his price never went down. Fairly consistent. Look at this. This was kind of like beginning of last season, just ridiculous scores. So, yeah, he's playing for Tigres, much better team than Santos, scoring well. Ugh, keyboard's going all over the place today. The problem for him is he's had a bad start to the season, as you can see from his scores here, which is why his price has dropped and why I've been able to get him now. His price has now dropped. I think this is temporary. I think if you look, he has had periods where he's had slight dips here. 40. This is like a 5-game dip, but then he comes back with better scores. So he does have dips when Tigres have dips. Tigres haven't started the season that amazing, but you know, it's the beginning of the season. He did play like yesterday or the day before. There was a MLS Liga MX All-Star game. I'm just checking. I got scared. I thought I couldn't see contender. There it is. There was a Liga MX and MLS All-Star game, which I think they do before the Leagues Cup to kind of as a kind of celebration thing. And he played in that and was man of the match. So he was representing Liga MX, who beat the MLS team 4-1, I think. He got a goal and an assist, got the man of the match award. So, you know, he's a star. He's the Liga MX star. He's an amazing player. I think this is temporary. I'm hoping it's temporary. So this is good for me because it means I was able to afford him now at a cheaper price. I'm hoping he gets his form back up, price goes up, and I picked him at a perfect time. So those are the cards that I've bought since last week. I've only got a little bit of money left. I was thinking of getting a Chelsea goalkeeper with that money, but I'm thinking of changing my strategy now. I might not get a Chelsea goalkeeper. My thinking is I do have a few goalkeepers like Aaron Ramsdale, who I've not quite got in my head for a lineup yet. I've got Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale, and Areola. Those are 3 Premier League goalkeepers, and I can only play 3 Premier League goalkeepers across my Premier League lineups. And I'm thinking of getting a Chelsea goalkeeper to go with my Chelsea stack. However, I don't know who the Chelsea goalkeeper is, and I think by the time that I do know who definitely is going to be the Chelsea goalkeeper, it'll be like 1 week before the Premier League season starts. So I think by that point, the price will be so expensive. He'll be like £40. You know, I won't be able to afford him. So I think what I'm going to do is hope Aaron Ramsdale gets a move to a Premier League team, and I'll play him alongside the Chelsea cards until I kind of know who the Chelsea goalkeeper definitely is. If, you know, it works out, okay, I definitely know it's this Chelsea goalkeeper and he's like £30, I'll put a bit more money in my account and I'll buy the Chelsea goalkeeper and I'll put Ramsdale in the Champion League. But I'm thinking I might go without the Chelsea goalkeeper this season, mainly because I'm not fully convinced on any of them. We've got Robert Sanchez, Petrovic, Kepa. Kepa is probably going to move. Sanchez and Petrovic both aren't like amazing keepers. Petrovic has a bit more promise for me. I think he could be a really good goalkeeper. He's still young. Sanchez, I think, makes too many mistakes for my liking, but he's good with his feet, and a lot of managers like the goalkeepers that can pass the ball. So I think the new Chelsea manager is going to prefer Sanchez. Sanchez's price has gone up with this kind of thinking in mind. So I can't really afford Sanchez for under £24 now. He's a little bit over that. Petrovic is like £13, but that's because it looks like he's not going to be the first team goalkeeper next year. So with all of this in mind, I'm kind of hoping Sanchez starts in goal next season, has a few bad performances, gets dropped, then Petrovic gets a chance. And in that time, when I sense Petrovic might get a chance, I buy him then when he's cheap, and then he becomes the first team goalkeeper. I think that's a better strategy for me to do rather than say buy Sanchez for £30 and then kind of see him get dropped and then be really annoyed that I spent all that money on a goalkeeper who's not playing anymore, moves to like a Champion League or moves to a Challenger League and isn't that great. So I'm going to save myself the stress and maybe not have a Chelsea goalkeeper next year and play like Nick Pope with my Chelsea players, or play Aaron Ramsdale if he gets a good move with my Chelsea cards, and do that instead until the Chelsea goalkeeping situation is like nailed on. He's the Chelsea goalkeeper. So that's my thinking with the goalkeeper. So I'm probably going to try and spend the rest of this money, if I can, on Christopher Nkunku. The problem is he's a little bit over that. He's going for about £28 now, which I'm really annoyed about because I was looking at Nkunku in like 4 weeks ago, around about the £20 mark, and I was just waiting, and I should have bought him then, but I was thinking, no, I won't. I'll wait. He might get a bit cheaper, and now he's gone. His price is going back up. It's really annoying me. I think I need to bite the bullet and just buy him as soon as he gets close to that. But I might have missed the boat on Nkunku. His price might be shooting up now. He might be going 30, 40 pounds. And then when the season starts, if it looks like Nkunku's playing every preseason game, I think people are going to get excited about him and his price is going to go even higher. So that's my thinking about the cards that I'm going to buy before the season starts. It's only a few Chelsea cards. I think I'm doing fairly well everywhere else. We look good everywhere else. Let's finish off this week's video by looking at my lineups, which is going to be very quiet for the coming weekend. Right then, these are my lineups for July the 26th to the 30th, this coming weekend. There's no Liga MX, which obviously is that's a bad thing for me because your boy's got a lot of Liga MX cards. Your boy loves Mexico, so that's a problem for me. No Liga MX. There is this Leagues Cup thing with Liga MX and MLS teams playing each other. But it means that I can have no contender teams this week because the Leagues Cup... I'm just checking. The Leagues Cup isn't covered in contender. It's not covered in the contender league. You can play them in the capped leagues, but you can't play them in the contender league. I think because the MLS isn't a contender, MLS is in challenger and Liga MX is in contender. So I don't think they knew which one to put it in. I think they should have put it in challenger, but it means I can only play them in the capped leagues. There's a medal special, which is for the Olympics, which is going on, but I've not got any players. I do have a goalkeeper and a defender at the Olympics, but they're not first team guaranteed. So I can't play anyone there. I can't play anyone in Challenger. I do have a few Challenger players because the Austrian League is back, and I have 2 or 3 cards from the Austrian League, but not enough to fill a Challenger lineup, not enough to fill a contender lineup. So the only serious lineups I'm putting out this week are in the capped leagues, and I've got no playing goalkeepers. So I'm not expecting anything this week. I'm doing what I was doing during the Euros, playing 3 capped lineups with DMP goalkeepers and hoping all 4 cards smash. So the lineups I'm going to be putting out are the cap 270. I'm going to be going for Cade Carroll, who's playing... who's he playing against? San Jose Earthquakes. So Chivas are playing there. I'm going to hope he continues his good form. Captain him, play him there. Nathan Silva's also playing in the Leagues Cup against Austin. Alan Minder is playing Westerlo in the for Cercle Bruges, so I'm going to play him. He had a good season last year. Young under-23 player who I was mainly playing in the under-23 league last year. But with him getting a bit older, if he can become more of a consistent player this season, he'll be a challenger card for me this year. So I'm hoping for big things from Alan Minder this coming season. Also, Castro Montes, Union SG player, big player for them, plays on the wing, scores well for them. I'm hoping he can continue his good form from last season. He ended the season really well. Look at these scores he was given last season. The really good patch here, some good scores here. If he can kind of continue, you know, he's still fairly young. If he can continue his good form, I'm hoping he can be a good card for me again in that league this year. So I've got these 2 players I'm kind of hoping for big things from next year. Cap 240, I've only got 3 cards playing here. Atuesta, who I was telling you about, who's playing for LAFC, who I'm reading are one of the favorites in this Leagues Cup thing, so he could do well there. I'm going to captain him. Pumas midfielder and another Cercle Bruges player, Christian Ravic, who probably, as he's a bit young, he's still trying to prove himself at Cercle Bruges. He might be an under-23 card for me this season, but I've not got many options at the moment, so he's going to have to play this week. And then 220 is kind of my strongest lineup. I'm putting 3 Atlas cards because I'm kind of hoping Atlas continue their good form, and they're playing Houston. So I'm playing them, kind of hoping that Atlas do well. Captaining Aguirre, scored twice last game, hoping he can continue that. And then I'm playing Thiago Silva, one of my favorite players ever. I bought him just because I love Thiago Silva. It helps with my Chelsea collection. How much did I buy him for? I bought him for 52p. 4 months ago as his Chelsea career was winding down, mainly because I knew he was going to leave Chelsea. I didn't know where he was going to go, but I just assumed he'd go back to Brazil and do really well in Brazil. That ended up happening. So I bought him to help with my Chelsea collection primarily, and then he's gone back to Brazil. Fluminense, where he's playing, have been struggling this season. They're like second to bottom of the league. And they've played like 18 games in the season. I was looking at the table yesterday, I think. They've played a good part of the season, but he hasn't been playing any of those games. He's played the last 2 games for them, which they've won. So they were losing all before he came in the relegation zone. He's come into the team 57, 63, clean sheet, 2 clean sheets since he's been back in. 2 good scores from him. I'm hoping he saves their season, keeps a whole bunch of clean sheets, gives me some good scores, and is a really good card for me to play in my contender division this season. So I'm really excited about playing Thiago Silva. He started really well these 2 games. Let's see how he does. I'm going to be playing him. He's playing a game again. It's against the mid-table team this week, but they're on a bit of a good run now. They've got him in the team. Hopefully they can. That's my Brazilian team now. That's who I'm rooting for in Brazil. Thiago Silva's boys. Let's see how he does. So that's my lineups for this weekend, and I'm not really expecting any rewards this weekend. I'm mainly looking forward to next week when Liga MX is back and a few more European leagues come back where I can play a few more of my cards. So those are my cards. Good luck with your coming weekends, everybody. I'll see you next weekend. Let me know in the comments what you think. I always appreciate the comments. And yeah, peace.